because the word flowers is not the first part of our list, okay? So the sentence is, the garden is filled with the following flowers, colon, violets, daisies, and roses, okay? All right, this last one's gonna look a little bit different. This time you are going to come up with the entire sentence, also putting in the colon where it needs to go. It says to write a listing sentence of your choosing about your favorite candy that includes 3 items. Make sure there is a colon before the list. I'm not really concerned if it really is your 3 favorite candies or not. If you're stuck on choosing candy, go with Twix, M&Ms, and Skittles. Okay, because the type of candy isn't what's important to me. It's can you write a listing sentence that uses a colon? Okay, so you have to write the entire sentence.
Can we talk in third person?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be first person.
Wait, so like the ingredients that
Candies, names of candies. Okay, any sentence about 3 types of candies. Now if we're doing names of candies, what should we be doing with those names? If you just say chocolate in general, that's an ingredient, it's lowercase. But if it's the name of a candy bar, it should be capitalized. No apostrophe, it's not possessive. It's just plural. If you're saying plural for candy, it's IES. No apostrophe. C-A-N-D-I-E-S. Don't forget capital letter at the beginning, period at the end.
How do you spell musketeers?
M-U-S-K-E.
I wonder what Williams chooses.
E-T-E-T. No A. Oh wait, no, you're right. No. K-E-T-E-E-R-S. Okay, finish up. You're going to show me in 15 seconds. Here it is again, Chloe. All right, show me your boards. One thing you want to do to check, if your colon comes right after a verb, then you did not write a complete sentence before the colon. A verb would be an action word, am, is, are, was, were. So you cannot say my favorite candies are, colon, because can you have that stand alone? My favorite candies are? No.
I put the following.
If you add in that phrase, the following, or include the following, then you've made it complete. Okay? I like this one. Here are some of my favorite candies. Okay, colon, and then we have the list. Okay? My favorite candy is the following. Good. My favorite candies are the following. My favorite types of candies are the following. Okay? If you have the phrase, are the following, then you're in good shape. Erase these boards, close the markers, put them away.
Why are you videotaping the class?
I am.
Because she wants us to be on the news.
Okay, erase your boards, put them away. Erase your boards, put them away. Guys, give me 5. I really need you to not be in the middle of conversations or start them as they're transitioning from one thing to another. Please put away your whiteboards and your markers. Keep your desks clear. Actually, no, take out your textbooks, but leave them closed. Stop talking. Chelsea, Brooklyn, we're not talking. We're taking out books. Keeping them closed. Keep them closed. Okay. We have been reading a lot of different life stories in this unit. Biographies, autobiographies, or different styles of that, personal narrative, memoir. And through reading those, we learn information about a person's life. Okay? We are going to be reading a piece of text today called Fort Gwen, 1969, but it is different type of writing than we've read so far this unit. So I want you to go to page 869. It is just the one page. And when you look at that, what makes this different than any of the other life stories we've read? 869. Devin?
It's a poem.
It is a poem. Start to finish, it is 16 lines of text. That's all you're going to be reading today. Okay? So when I think of poems, first of all, I tend to think, oh, well, poems rhyme. Not always. And when I glance at this poem, I notice it is not a rhyming poem. Okay? It's not a poem that has rhythm to it. If you look, there are actual sentences in this poem. There's 6 periods there. When you read this poem, read it just like normal sentences. Don't pause at the end of the lines. Okay? Another thing I noticed when I glance at this page is there's a footnote at the bottom. So that tells me that when I read this poem, there's going to be something that requires me to get more information in order to fully understand. So make sure that when you are reading the poem, you do look at that footnote to help your understanding. Okay? When I look at the title, I can make a pretty good inference about whose life story I'm going to be reading. So what's the name of the person I'm going to be reading about?
Gwendolyn Brooks.
Gwen, and then in parentheses it says her full name, Gwendolyn Brooks. Okay? And if it's by Margaret Walker, what style of life story is this? It's a biographical poem. So today you're going to be reading this poem several times and answering some questions about the poem. And through this, you're going to be fulfilling 2 purposes. One is that you're going to understand the individual who is introduced in the text and illustrated and elaborated on. Okay? And you'd think in 16 lines, well, we can't learn that much about this person. You will. And also, you will understand that text evidence is important in understanding and supporting ideas. You have to go back into the text. You have to be able to use that text to understand what's being said about this person. Okay, so you 2 tasks. You will analyze how this person is presented to us through the text, and you will be able to cite examples to support that. Okay? So 2 things that you will accomplish as we read this. The way it's going to work is you will be working with a partner. With your partner, you will read this poem 3 times. I think I might have one group of 3 because we were an odd number. If you have one other person, I suggest one partner can read it the first time, the second partner reads through it the second time aloud, and maybe the 3rd time you can either read it together or a person reads it a second time. Why would we read it more than once?
To understand it more.
The more often you read something, it reveals new things to you. I reread books I really enjoy, and I always learn something new every time. So reading it the first time, you might end up be thinking, huh? If you read it a second time, maybe something might be more clear. Okay? But the more often you read it, the easier it will be also to go back and find text evidence, which is one of our major purposes for today. And you are going to have 8 questions that you will answer after you've read it 3 times. You're each going to use a different color. This ensures that you are both participating in the activity, and it's not just one person doing all of the work. You will discuss the questions with each other, and I suggest you alternate back and forth. Somebody will answer all the odd questions, someone answers all the evens, and you're using different colors to show me who answered which ones. Don't use a highlighter. That's not a writing utensil, that's a highlighting tool. Don't use a Sharpie that's going to bleed through. Just a pen, a pencil, or a colored pencil is fine. You're going to have to obviously figure that out once you know your partner. And again, you have to go back in the text to support your answers. What you will need is your books, and then you will need whatever color writing utensil you will use. Once you are with your partners, I will then hand out the questions that you're answering. Also, who's the author of this poem? Herself. Margaret Walker. One of the questions asks you to look at another page for biographical information on the author. Flip to page 865. There's 2 authors on this page. You're only going to read about who? Margaret Walker. You can ignore the guy at the top. Just read about Margaret Walker when you get to that question. What questions do we have regarding the activity? All right, now I know we have a few people who are out working with Ms. Villani. They will be back shortly, so I might readjust some of the partners so that we can get started. And then I might shift some things around, or I might add in a 3rd person depending on when they make it back. So I'll read these off, but like I said, I'm gonna probably adjust this. So I have a Haley and Olivia, Drake and Lily, so I'll work with you on adjusting that. Owen and Elsa, when Drake and Elsa, you guys just work together since Owen and Lily aren't back yet. Chloe, just sit tight for a second. Jaden and Lillian, Maddie, Mariah, and Yusuf. Maddie and Mariah, you can start, and when Yusuf comes back, he can join you. Aaron and Caleb, JC and Brooklyn, Austin, Sophia. Maybe Chloe and Sophia, you guys can start working together. Devin and Audrey, and Luke and Kelsey. Okay? You are going to get your book. You're going to meet up with your partner. You're going to start reading the poem. I will bring you the questions. Go.
You said
Hold up your fingers to show me which reading you have completed. If you've only read it once, twice, or 3 times, show me how many times you've finished the poem. then we should be moving on to question 1 if we're done reading it.
Are we supposed to do this or wait for you?
Get started.
Okay. Read the author biography.
Question 1 is a two-parter, so make sure you get both parts.
Okay.
You're on the right track. Yes, they're calling it flexibilization. There's something else that tells us about where the list is. Right, Actually, no, I will have you guys start with me. Keep working, you guys. Alright, come on here. Yusuf, come here, please. Come on here, please. Yusuf. Listen, because you're getting a late start because you're coming in. We're reading a poem. It's biographical. It's life. Okay? A little bit challenging.
It's not that good over
Read it
here.
several times, and then I can ask you questions that will help you kind of understand what it's saying. Okay? So what I want to do is I want you to get a group. You're each going to need a different color of writing utensil. If you're trying to really grasp it, to show that you Okay, give me 5. Thank you, Luke, Drake, and Kelsey. Based on how long we've been working, for the people who've been in here the whole time, you should have question number 1 finished and working on number 2. If that is the case, give me a thumbs up. Hold on. If you're past it, that's fine. Okay, self-evaluation time. If you have question 1 done or more than that, give me a thumbs up. If you can't put your thumb up, you need to start using your time more productively and keep yourself focused. Okay? Keep moving forward. Don't forget, through reading this poem, you will find out details that tell us about the person who the poem is about. There are descriptions that tell us who she is and what she's like. You will need to use text evidence and examples to prove some of your answers. Through all of this, we will learn who Gwendolyn Rose is.
I know. She witnesses
Rebellion, I think. Rebellion. Where are you at? Okay. The people at her heartbeat and their footsteps will sit daily. All the clockwork and fire and water.
Hey, give me 5. We're going to check in. We're going to see what we are learning about this person real quickly. Okay? According to the biography of the author of the poem, what did we learn about Gwendolyn Brooks? What does she do? What's her background? She is a poet, which is interesting. We're reading a poem about a poet. Okay? What text evidence supports that she is a poet? This wasn't a question you had to answer on your handout, but what evidence can we find that supports that she is a poet, which is a type of writer? Olivia.
It says, along with co-workers were novelist Richard Wright and poet Gwendolyn Brooks.
But in the poem, what evidence can we find that proves and supports the idea that she is a poet? Elsa.
It says, like, the people are her heartbeat. She witnessed rebellion, struggle, and all that.
But that's not proving that she's a poet. There's a couple places here that let us know and prove that she is a poet who writes things down. Maddie.
For what Elsa said and a few other things, it's kind of saying like the people are out there for inspiration to do more poems.
Okay, that is very true. I guess I'm looking for something a little more specific that tells me she's writing things down.
It says her words are power in the
Her words, it actually says that twice. On line 3, her words of power. And in the very last line, all her black words. Okay? So, tells us she is writing words. Okay? Ensures and reminds us, using text evidence, that she is a poet. Okay? Continue on. Keep going. Okay.
Now we have to read it again. Now we have to read it again. Start reading it. You won't have to read. They'll be Owen. Owen reads the whole thing. And then I'll read the whole thing next
Raise your hand and tell me the highest mountain in France, how high it is. The rest of you don't know? The rest of you have not found it yet? 1%. Highest mountain in France. Noah, what is it? Mont Blanc, I think is how they pronounce it. I'm not positive on that. And how high is it? Mont Blanc. And how high is it? Zachary, how high is it?
15,771.
You know if that's high or not that high, or really, really high, like 15,000 feet. Raise your hand if you remember when we were talking about when we did the Andes, the climate zones in the Andes. Do you remember that at all? That chart we did? What happened between above 15,000 feet? Nothing, right? Just snow. There was nothing that could do anything above 15,000 feet. There was no growth. Okay, you need to book out. You need everything else gone. you need colored pencils or markers, or a pencil, colored pencils or markers. Any of those things you can have. And you do not need your social studies notebook. So everything else away. So if you have your social studies notebook, get rid of it. If you have books, get rid of it. You need your social studies book. If you have a reading book, get rid of it. If you have a binder, get rid of it. One social studies notebook, pencils, pens, markers, colored pencils. Thank you. Look at our purpose for today. Our purpose today is for you to know, for you to be looking at the maps of Europe, for you to understand that West Central Europe, we just finished Southern Europe, right? Now we're going to West Central Europe. West Central Europe has a range of landscapes, a mild climate, and rich farmland. So as we're working today, you are going to be trying to understand about those landscapes and climates and farmlands. Our task is going to be, you're going to be identifying landforms and water features and climate and natural resources of West Central Europe. So that's what we're going to be working on. Working on that, you're going to have a big piece of butcher paper. At your group, you're going to be looking through and going through these pages. You're going to start on, everybody go to 424. And we are going to make a 4-column chart, and we are going to find all of those things and identify them by specific proper names. So you're going to be, with your group, reading through each part from page 424 through 427. I do not care that you read word for word. I care that you are identifying the landforms and the water features and the climate and the natural resources in West Central Europe. So you're going to be taking your big butcher paper. You're going to be turning that into a 4-column chart. You're going to be marking those things, and you're going to be searching for those items, and you're going to be listing them in the correct chart, or excuse me, in the correct column of that chart. Do you know what you're going to be doing? Mm-hmm. Fabulous. So when you get your chart paper, you're going to make your 4-column chart. You're going to label it landforms, water features, climate, natural resources. What do you think the main title is going to be? Europe. West Central Europe, physical geography of West Central Europe, something like that. As soon as you get a paper, you can start.